glorification of anything. But you see, I think sometimes it's good to just remember where the Lord brought you from.
Amen.
When you think about where you came from, you're a whole lot more thankful for where you are.
Amen.
Amen.
It's easy to give God praise. I know some of you say, well, it's easy for you because you don't have any problems. You ain't got no clue. Even in my personal life right now, my wife and I are facing a situation that we have been preparing for and thought we had every I dotted, T crossed, our ducks in a row, everything handled, everything taken care of for a year. And we just got bad news. What's today? Sunday? Friday. Wasn't it Friday? Thursday or Friday? That we had been expecting positive for a year. Working everything to come together for a year. Had a plan, followed it through, did everything for a year. And it all shut down on us like that. I was up at 4:30 this morning. God, I need your help. God, I need you to help me figure out what to do. How am I going to get through this? I face those same things in life just like you do. But here's what the Bible tells me. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom. Here's what I choose to do. I choose to believe that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, to them that are called according to His purpose. I don't understand why for a year all this went just perfect, and now all of a sudden, in just one moment, it just fell apart. I mean, we were literally just going to church Friday night, got the phone call, boom, everything off, everything done, everything closed. But I refuse to give in to that curse or that dishonor. I am going to rejoice in the Lord. I'm going to believe God. I'm going to trust in the Lord. And I'm going to recognize that I can't do it by myself. I need God's hand and God's help to get me through that situation.
That's right. Amen.
But do it for you. Humility. I can't do it by myself. We have a friend named Phil Muncie. If you get on Twitter, you ought to follow Phil. He's a great pastor in Orange County, California. And he talks about preachers. He's talking to preachers. He did our bishops' conference last February. He has a little saying that I really love. He said, this is how we get as preachers. Let's don't talk about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me? Humility. The Bible said in honor of preferring one another. Prefer your brother. Humility. Take the back seat. Take less. Instead of pushing for your rights. You know, that's where we are in our nation right now. Give me my rights. I've got this. Give me that. I'm entitled to this. Humility says, I'll give up my right so somebody else can get things. I like this illustration. We have a friend. He owns his own fitness club. Used to be a bodybuilder, did steroids, all that, found the Lord, got a whole new way of life. And very strong guy. He could probably bench press probably 450 pounds. About a 55-inch chest, huge biceps. Strong guy. Leg presses, 1,500 pounds. One day I saw him holding his granddaughter. And I just was caught in that moment. Here's a guy that can, push 450 pounds off his chest. Lift 500 or 1,500 pounds, 1,500 pounds with his legs. Holding a little baby in his arms. And I thought of the Lord. Isn't that a great picture of Jesus? Yes. He is strong enough to take the devil and just go. Come on, he holds the whole world in his hands.
Amen.
Right.
He's so big that it takes all of heaven for him to sit down. And he can prop his feet out upon the earth. That's what the Bible said. The earth is his footstool.
Yeah.
That's big. He's got all power. But he can hold me in his arms like a little baby.
That's good.
And care for me and hold me tenderly. Have you ever felt the Lord do that for you? To just wrap his arms around you and just hold you, and you knew everything was going to be all right.
That's right.
That's what humility is. It's strong enough to stand, but tender enough to love. When we learn to live in that strength that can stand, but the tenderness that can love, we're going to live in honor. The next thing is integrity. Proverbs 26:1 talks about honor is not seemly for a fool. Honor is not seemly for a fool. Learning how to act. Learning how to act in honor. Learning how to behave in good conduct. You know, I'm probably all alone in this, but I think there's just some old-fashioned teaching that we need to go back to teaching our children and teaching in church, even some things. And again, I know I grew up in kind of an idyllic age, and I went to church with my grandmother, and my grandmother had a spiritual gift. She was always prim and proper about going to church and wearing your Sunday best and all these things. That's kind of the way I grew up. And when we didn't have children's church back in those days, and I missed out. That's another thing I'm kind of fussing about. I didn't get VeggieTales when I was a kid. I had to sit in church, and Grandma was a Sunday school teacher. I had to sit on the front row and had to wear a starched white shirt. You remember that starch that they dip those things in? I mean, the shirt stood up by itself. Itched and scratchy and had a tie on. You know, when you're 5, 7 years old and got a necktie on, that's an abomination to God. And I'd be all scratchy and itchy and fidgety. And my grandmother would just reach over and she'd get a hold of my ear. And she had the spiritual gift of being able to position your ear in such a way that you would do whatever she desired to do. If my grandmother could have gotten a hold of Hulk Hogan's ear, she would have been the World Wrestling Federation champion of the world. She could do any submission hold to anyone if she could get a hold of your ear. She made me learn to sit prim and proper. One time in the presence of my grandmother, I said no. One time. And I learned real quick it was no, man. Those are some old-fashioned things. We don't need that stuff anymore. Yes, we do. Because it's honor.
Yeah.
When you learn to act and live in honor, you bring dignity.
Yeah.
And then people look and say, why do you do that? Because I'm giving honor to the Lord. And even my conversation, in the way that I treat other people, in the politeness. My wife, it drives her crazy, but it's okay. It's all right. She's going to make it through the journey. I say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to my wife. Out of honor. Because I honor my wife. I respect my wife. I am so ingrained to do that. We need to learn this manner of conduct, that if you will elevate your conduct, God will elevate your life. That's good right there. A whole lot better than you gave me credit for it. 2 more. Serving. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron. He that waits on his master shall be honored. Verse 18. He that waits on his master shall be honored. When you serve other people, you're going to be honored. Your life is going to be blessed when you learn to serve other people. Then the Bible also says to honor the Lord with your substance. Honor the Lord with your substance. So take what you give. That's why tithing is so important. That's why giving is so important. That's why work in the church is so important. You see, it's not about economics. It's not about finance. It's about spiritual issues. It's a spiritual thing. The way that I handle substance and money is a spiritual thing. I want to be a giver. I am a good tipper. If you work in a restaurant, you want to serve me because I will tip you well. I believe in sowing and reaping. I believe in it fanatically. I believe whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you're reaping some bad stuff in your life and you want to change what your life is reaping and what you're getting out of the harvest of your life, yeah, I can pray for you. I can pour every drop of olive oil in Wisconsin on top of your head, and it will not change a thing until you change what you're sowing in your life.
Amen. Amen.
Bishop Macklin has a great saying. Sow, S-O-W, sow where you want to go. What do you want your church to be like? Begin to sow that way. What do you want your life to do? Sow that way. What do you want? How do you want your marriage and your family and your children? Sow that way. Begin to speak blessing. Begin to speak prosperity. Begin to speak peace. Sow your words. Sow your actions. Sow your deeds. Whatsoever you sow, that you're going to reap. Give it to the Lord, and the Lord will give it back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over with good measure. God will give you good things.